What's up, guys? Alex Willis here, CEO of Leadership Surge, and I want to personally welcome you to No Bullshit with Alex Willis, the #1 go-to source for leadership development in the construction industry. And my friends, today's show is very special. This is a very, very special show today because we're not going to bullshit you, not that we do on any other show, but today we're going to specifically dive into some things that we never talk about in our industry, and that's lifestyle. Lifestyle. We make a shitload of money in our industry, but we never talk about the other areas in which we struggle and how do we pull all of this shit together to have a phenomenal life. Not career, not money, phenomenal life. So stay tuned because we want to dive into some foundational things that you have to do. We're going to have a shitload of resources for you to make life amazing for you so that you have a phenomenal professional career as well as a phenomenal professional life. See you in a second, my friends. Hey, welcome to the Takeoff, my friends, where today we're talking about how to have a phenomenal life. On all of our other shows, we've talked about the professional side of things, but as you see in our tagline, we're here to make sure you are phenomenal both at work and at home. And most times we never talk about the home piece, right? So think about that for a second. That means you go and you work your ass off only to come home and to be miserable or to have happiness sporadically at home. Now, in order for us to understand this really, really well, we have to understand this one concept. And I learned this concept about 7 years ago. And shout out to probably one of the greatest mentors that I've had in my life who was, I've had many, but this one right here definitely did a great job for me. His name's Garrett White. Garrett White did a phenomenal job teaching me this one concept that he calls the have-it-all lifestyle. So it brings me to this one question that I want you to think about. Is it possible, my friends, to have it all? And when I mean all, I mean every area of your life, work, family, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse, partner, kids, health, lifestyle, money. Is it possible to have it all? Now, understand this. As I ask more and more people, especially in our industry, this question, I get an overwhelming hell no, Willis. It is not possible to have it all. And I love to just slow down for a second in this show and challenge you. Because I want to start off by saying it is possible to have it all. It is. I know you're saying, what you talking about, Willis? I get it. But it is possible to have it all. But you have to first know what all means for you. Now understand this, my friends. Most people have never taken the time to analyze what they want their life to look like. So I've said this in another episode. Most people live that cat dog life. Eat, sleep, shit, get up and do it again. Eat, sleep, shit, do it again. And it's over and over and over and over and over every day, never really being purposeful and passionate with their life, right? Now, if you're going to have it all, let me tell you, it's not easy to have it all, but it is worth every penny of it, right? It's worth the work. It makes life significant, right? And so now you're able to marry and partner up success with significance. And that's what we want to talk about. How do you do that? How do you do that? Well, understand. Let me slow down one second. As we talk about having it all, and as we talk about mapping this thing out, the first thing that you have to do, and we're going to really begin to unpack this here in the Takeoff, is in sports, sport teams do a great job of benchmarking where they currently are. So a team doesn't just come and say, yeah, man, we're winning the championship next year. I want you to really look at some of these real major sports teams. A lot of teams come into the season saying, hey, listen, we just want to go deep into the playoffs next year. Why? Well, how can they say that? Why aren't they shooting this big-ass hoop dream of saying, yeah, man, we're going to win it all next year? Well, they've done a hell of a job of evaluating where they currently are, and they understand what it takes for them to get to where they want to go, and they realize that there are a lot of pieces in place that they don't have right now. So therefore, based on what they have, based on the capabilities of the work that they can do, where can they end up, right? And so therefore, you have teams like my beloved Knicks. Yes, I am a diehard Knicks fan. My beloved Knicks saying, hey, listen, we're just trying to get into the playoffs, right? Why? Because we realize, truth be told, we don't have a championship-built team. And I love the Knicks, and I love every guy playing there, but we don't, right? So with that being in mind, I want you to think about this. Have you started or have you ever considered benchmarking your life where it is right now? Most people haven't. Now, I got my phone right here because I like to call this the wheel of life. Now, understand, this will be in the show notes. This will be in the show notes, so I'm going to describe it for you right now. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can kind of see a picture of it, an image. But I want you to think of this round wheel that's broken up into several sections. So think of it like a pizza, right? Like a pizza that you would eat. It's sliced up in different slices. And these different slices of the wheel of life represent different areas of your life, right? So I'm gonna read off a couple of these areas. You have things like your career, right? You have money or your finances, your health, your friends and family, also your spouse, partner, or significant other. You have things like leisure and lifestyle. You have your physical activity, your body, as well as spirituality, right? Now, here's what I challenge every one of you to do. And I started doing this process several years ago, and it changed my life. At the start of every year, I go through the wheel of life. And each of these areas I graded out, right? From 0 to 10. Now, understand, 0 means I'm not doing shit in that area, right? 10 being, dude, you are freaking knocking it out of the park. Now, it's a tough exercise, especially if you're willing to be really, really brutally honest with yourself. Now, to help you be brutally honest, my friends, because I know most of you will not, most of you will what? Bullshit yourself. To help you be brutally honest, we're going to also include in the show notes several questions that I want you to apply to each section. Yeah. So understand this. Each question will give you a grade in that question, and ultimately you'll take all of those questions, add all of the scores up from those questions in that section, and give that section a grade, right? Now, here's what typically happens when you do that. Typically, when you do that, my friends, you'll get a chance to see this wheel isn't so round, usually. Usually, there are several areas in the wheel that have divots in it because you may be doing a hell of a job in career. Yeah, I'm knocking it out of the park with bonuses and raises and promotions, but you may be sucking it up with family and friends, your kids, right? Or your significant other, right? And so therefore, it gives you an immediate snapshot of where you currently are. And it allows you now to begin to think about, where do I want to go, right? Now, understand, this can be very, very, very eye-opening to a lot of people. Some people don't like to be this raw and real with themselves. And I tell them, cut the show off right now, because unless you're willing to be real and raw with yourself, you cannot have it all. Too many people bullshit ourselves. And here's what we do, my friends. We compare ourselves to other people. Well, I'm not as bad as Jim over there. We're talking about you being your best self. What does it look like for you to be your best self, for you to show up and be the best you that you can be, realizing that you're not competing against anybody else in life? No one else on the job site, no one else in your neighborhood, no one else in your family. This is you against you. You are in a lane by yourself. When you begin to understand that concept, you begin to understand no one can beat you in this race, because no one can beat you being you. As well as you begin to understand that life has no finish lines, that it's all about the journey and not a destination. And you begin to understand all the things that you learn along the journey. Now, part of that journey, the start of that journey, as we discussed here in the Takeoff, is assessing where you are right now currently. So I would love for you to really begin to download the worksheet and assess where you are. Assess where you are, understanding that it's just a starting point. You're going different places and you're going to be okay. And it's not the end of the world, but you want to know where you are so that you can begin to next put things in play to really begin to help you out and help you shape how do you get there, right? Because unless I know my starting point, I'm really going to struggle with the finish or the future point where I want to go. So what I want you to do, as we do a recap of this section, I want you to think about, where are you currently, right? And I want you to be brutally raw, brutally honest with yourself. Look at those areas. If you're listening right now, just begin to think about it. And when you look at it, I want you to identify 1 or 2 areas in which you want to improve. So, quite simple. Because most people don't do a good job of explaining this. They make it too complicated, and so people quit. I don't want you to quit, my friend. I want you to have a phenomenal life, and I want you to actually have it all, right? So, step 1, download the worksheet. Analyze where you are in these key areas, grade yourself out. It's not the end of the world, but we're being honest and taking responsibility, and then identify 1 to 2 areas you want to focus in on. Now, with that being said, my friend, in the next segment, the level, we're going to talk about, what do you do next? Now that I know where I currently am, now that I've done a great evaluation, what happens next? What are some questions you must ask yourself? What are some things that you must do so that you can begin to push forward to truly have the Have It All lifestyle? I'll see you in our next segment. Hey, I want to personally thank you for tuning in to No Bullshit with Alex Willis, the #1 go-to source for leadership development in the construction industry. And hey, don't forget to hit play on the next segment.